Chris, I feel like the sort of the prompt for the evening really was very generative for me in thinking about what I'm doing and how to position it more broadly. It's also very meaningful for me to be back here as a Stanford alum. I did my undergrad in physics and minored in dance, and then after finishing my degree, decided to go into the arts because that seemed like the best thing to do with a physics degree. But in all seriousness, I felt like I had such a rich education here in terms of physical concepts and relationships and ways of thinking about the world, and I was craving an understanding of that material through my body. And so that's, and through movement on the level of human movement. So that has really been my focus for the past 5 years. I'm also joined here tonight by Chelsea and Jane, who are both dancers from the San Francisco Conservatory of Dance, which is a wonderful institution up in San Francisco that supports the training, education, creation of new work. It's a really remarkable environment to explore new ideas, the creation of new artistic forms as opposed to existing methodologies, and I'm very lucky to have to be one of the choreographic residents there for this spring. So I just want to start with this quote, tout bouge. This is something that Jacques Leclerc said, and it was the title of his lectures from the 1960s onward, and sort of what he became very famous for. And just this idea that everything moves. So whatever scale we're looking at, whether it's atoms or galaxies or humans, everything moves. I wanted to share this sort of as motivation for why I do what I do, but also maybe it can give you a framework for understanding some of the things that we'll show you this evening. So I was thinking about, okay, imagining the universe. Well, what does dance have to say about that? And I have a couple of prompts that I wanted to share with you, and then some movement that we've generated in response to it. And the first is that we know that there are things that are bigger than us, and there are things that are smaller than us. There are worlds that exist inside of us, these atoms and molecules. And so trying to use dance as a way to explore scale and an understanding of scale. So one of the things I've been working on with Jane and Chelsea and some of the dancers at the conservatory is what we call a microscope dance. We looked at these images of everyday objects imaged under a scanning electron microscope. So this is a blueberry. This is a broccoli flowerette. This is a needle and thread. And then this is a more familiar one for the scientific audience, a piece of wood. And just using these images as source material and inspiration, I asked them to make a microscope dance, very broadly and simply. And I'm just going to have them show you their first pass, the sort of raw material in response to these images. So I want to applaud them every time they do anything, but let's keep the applause to the end from now on. The way I tend to work is that we'll do a first pass, sort of what is your response to this material, and then we go in iteratively, almost like you would repeat an experiment and try to refine it. So I'm just going to do that in real time with you guys here tonight so you get a sense of how something like this might develop. One of the things that we know from science and physics is that the laws of motion don't always obey our sort of intuitions. And one of the things that we discovered when we first made these little microscope dances is that they inherently had a sort of slower time scale. But if you were an atom or a molecule, your time scale might not feel slow to you. So I'm going to ask you guys to do it again. Let's have you both go at the same time and work with the idea of sort of you're on a highway, there's a faster clip of the time scale, and it just moves along more quickly. Still trying to keep all of the detail and the integrity of what you just did. One more pass of this, and I'm going to have the two of you, is it okay if they're both on one of these landings? I know it's difficult sight lines for, are you guys okay? Can you see all right if they're here? So Jane, let's have you go over to Chelsea so you can be together. I think it's hard to see the whole body down here. And I'm going to have you guys do it again. Let's keep the information of the faster time scale, and let's have you do it trying to maintain eye contact. Of how we might work, starting from an image and then refining over time. I also want to share some work that comes from a piece that I worked on this past year that involves the use of a digital stethoscope. So in addition to generating material based on images, we can also respond through sound, and this is a way that I particularly like to work. So I'm going to just have one of them amplify their heartbeat live, and the other one is going to respond through movement. And then we'll go from there. And I should acknowledge Think Labs, who graciously donated this stethoscope for this project. You're going to have to be pretty close over here. down a little. Okay, let's try. You guys, let's switch out. Let's pause. I want to open it up to you guys a little bit, just ask you what you see with this as a viewer. What would you be? Is there anything that you desire in the way that I sort of added information to the iterations that we did with the microscope dance? If you were to ask them if they will do it again, and what might be something you would want to see? Does anyone have a desire in the back?
Frames stethoscope. It's a new investigation at Carmen.
Something we can do right here, right now. Over here, thank you.
So the beat of the heart creates a rhythm.
Yes.
How can we layer something, a continuous movement that connects the beats? For
Great,
instance?
great.
How about the feet?
Yeah.
Move. Try using your feet.
Great. Let's do the strictly.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's combine these two requests. Let's say that we're going to have Chelsea amplify your heartbeat. Jane will try this task. Let's say you have to constantly be moving your feet so that there's this constant motion in space, and then layering on top of it a response to the sound of the heartbeat.
And what were you saying about like connect?
Just something that's not, the movements were kind of automatically rhythmic, like the heartbeat, and so how can we create some continuous piece that layers on top of that instead of only responding to
Yeah. So you're telling two stories. You're telling a story with your feet, and then you're also telling a story with the rest of your body. Okay. Thank you guys. Let's try this. Great. Let's take one more potential direction.
Can you be a blueberry on top? Can you see the blueberry side?
Oh, you want to see the image. I was going to say let's switch out. So Jane will amplify her heartbeat. Chelsea, do your microscope dance while responding to the heartbeat. And because by the request we have the blueberry.
The blueberry would be the response for the top.
Say again?
Blueberry would be the response for the top.
Response for the top part.
Yeah.
Oh, the quality of
the
it.
trigger for the top.
So
Yeah.
So you want the feet to respond to the sound of the heartbeat
Yeah.
and the torso to be,
The blueberry.
can you do that? Okay.
That blueberry?
Yeah. Or let's use specifically your microscope dance.
Okay.
Because I think that's more
It is
well known.
blueberry.
Yeah. Okay. Great, you guys. We're going to move on from this. Thank you very much for your input on the heart material. Okay, so this gives you some ideas about worlds inside of us, ways we might go about accessing things that are smaller than us, what is contained inside of our structure. Another thing I was thinking about in preparation for this evening was, okay, so there are things bigger than us, there are things smaller than us. We also know that in the universe there's a lot of empty space. There's a lot of empty space even inside an atom. So, this is an image from the last one. So the space between us. So this creates the issue of communication or connection. How do we bridge the gap between I have all of my stuff that's me over here, how do I make a connection or impact you over there? This is actually kind of complicated and something we've been trying to work out through movement for a while. So we have a score that we want to share with you that sort of gets at these ideas. You guys want to try it coming down the staircase? Been thinking about in terms of how to send and receive information, how something gets distorted, what the delay is in between an impulse and the reaction. That was very beautifully done. I'm going to keep going because I don't want to keep you guys too late. I have one more movement score that I want to share with you. The other thing I was thinking about in terms of imagining the universe is that we know that our experience and what we can perceive and observe is but a sliver of what exists. And I think that performance, and live performance in particular, is very effective at playing with what is seen and unseen. I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to hand this to you. And I'm going to turn down the lights.
Can you do a blueberry on top? Can you see the blueberry side?
So, this is something we've been thinking about in terms of how to send and receive information, how something gets distorted, what the delay is in between an impulse and the reaction. That was very beautifully done. I'm going to keep going because I don't want to keep you guys too late. lights back on, if I can. And that is all that I had for this evening. These are all excerpts from works that I've done, and I hope that if you're interested in this, you'll look more into it. But I felt like I really wanted to respond to the prompt that was offered this evening, and I'm happy to take any questions.